Okay, so when it comes to internet content creator, streamer drama, this kind of stuff, there are things that I find interesting and or funny to follow along with as they occur, as they transpire. Uh, and then there are things that I just feel like I couldn't really care less about. The topic of the video, which we're about to watch, I feel like typically would fall into the latter category. I, generally speaking, don't feel like I have any reason to care about who is dating who or who is breaking up with who or who is sleeping around with. I don't care. I don't see a reason to care. This feels so just lowbrow and trashy and uninteresting. And it is one of the things that I feel like I care the least about, generally speaking. And I feel like while other people do like to follow along with this kind of tea, it still is not the kind of thing that should necessarily get all kinds of attention and traction unless there's some serious thing happening like, abuse, for instance. And yet, I am currently staring down a nearly hour-long video from Mujin, who is one of the premier drama YouTubers, boasting a channel of over 700,000 subscribers at present. I was actually planning on watching a different video of theirs in the next few days. I don't think I've seen this channel that videos from this channel recommended to me numerous times. I don't think I've ever actually watched one though. So I hope it's good. But again, so this the question that I'm getting to, that it's on my mind is what the hell's going on with this relationship, with this breakup that merits this channel making such a long video about this topic. I don't understand. And I guess by the end of this video, hopefully I have a means to understand. Hopefully I have the information necessary to understand. Because at the moment, I simply do not. But where this is an hour-long video, I think I should cut the preamble, stop running my mouth, stop trying to prolong this intro and just get into it. And I'm also, we'll see how well I do with this. I'm going to also try to limit my yapping a bit, maybe. Because the past few videos that I've recorded, my reactions and commentaries to them have led to my videos being more than twice as long as the videos that I'm watching. So with this being an hour long, I don't know that I want to sit here talking about this for 2 to 3 hours. So let's see how I do on that front as well. Anyways, let's find out, I suppose, what's going on with this relationship drama.
What happens when one of the most well-known and iconic couples in content creation and esports history decides to abruptly break off their relationship after 6 years of being together? More importantly, what happens when they tell their millions of followers that it was completely mutual, amicable, and had no drama whatsoever? Well, I'm glad you asked. Many would refuse to believe the narrative that this was amicable, accusing the woman in the relationship, Kaide, of cheating. Going as far back as 5 months before the breakup, and outlining how she had unfollowed her best friend on social media because she was coincidentally hanging out with her ex-boyfriend. Hell, even before the breakup announcement was made, fans were already aware that they had broken up because they weren't even wearing their engagement rings on stream anymore. And somehow, we find out that there was a Reddit post made 2 years ago accusing Kaide of cheating on her boyfriend at a convention when she was there alone. And if that wasn't enough, we had a self-admitted pedophile enter the ring. This is when he'd tell the whole world that back in 2023, he had a one-on-one conversation with Kaide in which she admitted to wanting to experiment with other men. Guys, this is easily one of, if not the messiest breakup I've ever witnessed in my life. And it's crazy to think that this all stemmed from something that was meant to be amicable. It's riddled with misinformation and extremely dangerous theories. So I thought we had to talk about it in an objective manner so that way you can make your own opinion in this mess.
Women are evil. Oh boy.
Exclusive content, then make sure to check out my stack.com page in the description and the pinned.
The hell is a stack.com?
Without further ado, let's get right into this mess. All right, so first things first.
Well, from that intro, I'm already seeing how there might be a couple things to talk about.
Who are the two people involved in this disastrous
incident?
Yeah,
let's get some prefacing out of the way, shall we?
Tens would start playing the game Counter-Strike at the age of 3, and by the time he would reach his teenage years, he'd be playing at the pro level, starting his journey in 2017, and by 2019, he would have made it big by signing with one of the biggest esports teams in North America, Cloud9.
Hey, Cloud9 mentioned.
As a player, he wasn't really able to stand out in the pro scene. That would all, of course, change in the year 2020. This is when Valorant would launch its closed beta access, and even though it wasn't really intentional, everything had lined up perfectly to drive hype for this game to levels never seen before. It was barely a month after lockdowns had began in the majority of the world because of COVID-19, and the way you'd be able to get a key is by watching a stream on Twitch. The caveat though was that there was no guarantee you'd get it. You would just have to watch a stream for as long as possible, and after every hour of watch time, you'd get a very small chance of getting a key. This is why every streamer imaginable on the platform began playing this game and was in the category, sometimes going to sleep and rerunning old clips just so that people can watch. It was an infinite money glitch, and everyone wanted a key. However, Tens didn't really have to worry about getting a key. He'd have access to the closed beta on day 1, just like many other pros, and would play the game a lot. And so when the first iteration of ranked mode would come out, he was already prepared. And due to this, he would become the first player globally to ever reach the Radiant rank, the highest rank in competitive Valorant. Think of it like Challenger in League of Legends or top 500 in Overwatch. This legendary accomplishment guaranteed the fact that the entire community was going to be aware of who he was. And so, due to Valorant's incredible hype in 2020, by 2021, many esports organizations would start making their own teams for the competitive scene. One of the biggest and most successful ones would be Sentinels, and they would recruit Tens immediately.
Oh boy, Sentinels mentioned too.
Seen as the game's superstar. If you had played the game in any way competitively or cared about its competitive scene, then you would have known who he was. It was that big of a deal. And
just real quick, for the record, the reason that I keep shouting out these organizations that are getting mentioned is because I don't play League of Legends, and I haven't for several years. I do still kind of keep up with the competitive League of Legends scenes a bit. So Cloud9 is still very big name in North American League of Legends. Sentinels recently joined the North American League of Legends competitive scene as well. And so yeah, that's why I keep making those little references.
I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. During his Counter-Strike days, he would never have more than a few hundred viewers. By the time Valorant had come out and he would reach Radiant as the first player globally, he would gain tens of thousands of followers and thousands of concurrent viewers. By the time he'd be signed to Sentinels and would become a household name, he would gain hundreds of thousands of followers and would get an insane viewership.
Damn, he's this big?
On fire. At the same time though, if you knew anything about Tens, then you'd know that he had a girlfriend, Kaide. They were together since before Valorant even came out, ever since 2019.
Damn, she's pretty.
For a few weeks and moved in together when they were both just 17 years old.
I retract my statement.
Blew up to astronomical levels. Kaide would also experience her own form of success by collaborating with him. These clips from their collabs would go absolutely mega viral on all platforms, showing a couple that's absolutely in love with each other while also getting to see Tens, the #1 Valorant player, teaching his girlfriend how to play Valorant when she's never really played first-person shooters before. Many of these clips would be posted on Kaide's personal TikTok, and they'd get tens of millions of views. She has over 2 million followers and 100 million likes on this platform.
Yeah, this just sounds like free content.
Some of her top clips on her page always involved Tens. She would start streaming in November of 2020, a few months after Valorant's closed beta would launch. And within her first month, she would have an average view count of 2,800 views.
That's crazy.
Gaining 75,000 followers. Her fame was instant, but it wouldn't stop there. She'd keep growing at an insane pace. People couldn't get enough of her and Tens. I mean, look at this video, right? Tens versus Kaide Valorant 1v1 rematch. 11 million views. There will be an insane amount of Clipper channels taking clips from their streams of their interactions, getting millions of views as well. They were everywhere. Saying that these two were one of the biggest content creator couples on the planet was not an understatement at this point. So while Tens was at the top esports team for Valorant, Kaide would get her own opportunities as well, joining 100 Thieves, one of the most well-known content creator orgs on the planet.
100 Thieves mentioned.
Some people would argue that she could have never made it this far if it wasn't for her boyfriend. It's not like she ever said the opposite. She understood that she was in a very lucky position and would say so herself in an interview with 100 Thieves. Watch.
A few other clips went viral. It was kind of like an overnight thing where a few thousand people started watching me, and I would just like talk, and Tyson and I would just do some like challenge videos and other things. And I'm very thankful for the situation I'm in where I didn't like grind those hours like a lot of streamers do that totally deserve this. I'm not saying I necessarily like deserve this, but it's been a journey, and it's been definitely like a lot of fun.
This was the perfect storm. A couple going mega viral with everyone being completely obsessed over their relationship, all while staying wholesome and humble. Truly the epitome of
At least on camera.
relationships. So at this point, as an avid
Hold up. I'm sorry. Did he just say epitome?
fan, truly the epitome of content
Epitome. That word is pronounced epitome. I'm sorry. I not to be that guy, but the word is pronounced epitome. Also, and I forgot to mention at the outset of this video, part of the reason that I thought to kind of check this video out was because I recently watched an XQC video that I think it was the first video I put up on this channel, so you can check that out if you're interested. And one of the kind of big points of that video was about the falling out of XQC's relationship with Adept. And so, yeah, that was just kind of like on my mind when I saw this, and I was like, well, let's see a different relationship. And the way that we're being presented the start of this relationship, definitely very different than, well, in ways similar to what we saw from the start of the XQC Adept relationship in that video. And I guess we'll see if it ends as violently.
relationships. So at this point, as an avid fan, what else could you possibly ask for? Them tying the knot, of course. Around summer 2022, they would announce their engagement after having kept it secret for 8 months. The internet at this announcement, of course, exploded. Finally, this perfect couple is getting married. And I mean, you have to understand by this point, these two were seen as the ideal relationship for so many people. I'm talking millions. And to many, they were the personification of their goals when it came to finding a life partner. In other words,
That's scary.
Perfect. And
That's
people
scary.
couldn't get enough of them. However, this
Putting any kind of celebrity or pseudo celebrity, however you want to classify various content creators and influencers, on any kind of pedestal, always going to be dangerous.
image of perfection, of living the perfect life, would end pretty abruptly in 2023. Because you see, barely 6 months after announcing their engagement, Kaide would unfortunately announce to the world that she's been diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia.
Oh.
In other words, cancer, but cancer so aggressive that she only had a 25% chance of survival after 5 years. This was a shock to pretty much anyone, Kaide included, and many couldn't believe that this perfect relationship was now at risk, that they faced danger. They didn't deserve this. The wave of support from the internet was immense, but it wasn't just strangers.
Not many people deserve cancer.
Content creator friends. Many male content creators, including Miskiff, yes, I know this aged very badly, would shave their head in support of her because she was going to undergo chemotherapy and was about to lose all her hair. This was a very sweet gesture. However, one content creator here stood out, and it was 39daff. She was the only content creator friend of Kaide who was a woman that shaved her entire head in support of her. And the reason why I'm highlighting this is because it's very significant. When you're a guy and shave your head, you don't really care. You just wait a month and your hair's back. You can wear a cap, you can wear a beanie. It's all good. When you're a woman though, shaving your entire head off like this is like losing a part of yourself. And yet here she was doing it effortlessly for her friend. It really showed just how amazing Kaide was. Not only was she the perfect girlfriend, she also had the perfect friends. For months, people would...
As someone who very recently cut all my hair off, it's really not a big deal. As long as you're confident it's going to come back, because some guys, once they get older, you know, they got that receding hairline, they cut their hair off and it just doesn't really come back. But yeah, even, you know, he said like for girls, it's like cutting, like losing a part of your body or something like that. I don't know if I would go that far, but like when you're a girl and you have short or no hair, like you definitely, at a minimum, you get looks in public, and it's unpleasant.
would keep up with Kaide and her updates, and by September 2023, many celebrated when she would announce that she was finally done with chemotherapy. Her hair could finally grow back now. She would, however, specify the cancer wasn't completely gone. She would undergo other treatments, but for now, she's happy because she can finally grow her hair back. But just as things were finally starting to look up for her, the other person in this relationship was going through their own personal hell. 2023 would be Ten's worst year on record when it came to the esports scene of Valorant. This once great player was starting to be seen as overrated, as someone who was taking up a slot in the top team for no reason. His performance was tanking, and the online criticism was reaching unprecedented levels. I mean, look at this video right here. Why everybody hates the face of Valorant, sitting at 1.1 million views. And I mean, no wonder, right? His fiance had just been diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer, and who knows what he was going through mentally. But even with all of that, he wouldn't give up. He'd persevere, and the next year, in 2024, he'd managed to win his second Valorant World Championship with his team. It seemed like Tens and this current roster were working very well together, and he was back. This is why it was so shocking for the entire community to see that barely a few months later, on September 2024, he would announce that he wasn't just quitting Sentinels, he was retiring from competitive play. For years, he was seen as the face of Valorant, and there he was, leaving at the top of his game. The Valorant community was in absolute shambles, and many theories were being spread around as to why he left, one of them being that he needs to take care of his girlfriend.
I mean,
however, people would
money?
ask him why he retired multiple times on his stream, and he would answer it. He was grateful for the competitive scene and what he had experienced, but it wasn't for him anymore. He was losing passion for the game, and on top of that, he wanted to focus on other things in life. It was taking up all his time. And finally, when it came to the money, he was making way more just streaming, so it didn't really make sense to just focus on a game that you weren't passionate about anymore on the pro level. Additionally,
yeah, that was the, again, as somebody who's like at least somewhat familiar with like the league pro scene, that was my immediate thought, was like, if this guy is getting the kind of numbers that he was getting on Twitch even back in like 2021, and if he's, you know, the face of Valorant, he could probably, you know, if he's satisfied his competitive urge by winning, you know, their world championship or whatever, 2 times, he could just chill and make way more money with a much more relaxed schedule just streaming. That was my initial thought. And also, real quick, before we get too far away from the whole topic of like Kaide's cancer diagnosis and treatment with like chemotherapy and stuff, yes, obviously getting cancer sucks, but I do think it is kind of worth mentioning that it's definitely more manageable when you have the money to get the kinds of treatments that you would want to be able to get with such a serious diagnosis, right? Like someone like me, if I get cancer, I'm just fucked. It is what it is. Like I'm just being frank. Like if I get some kind of serious medical diagnosis and it's like, hey, you need tens or possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars if you want to hope to survive this, I ain't got no way of doing that. And so, you know, while it is, you know, good for her that she was able to get the treatment that she needed and pull through, I feel like it is worth recognizing that like that situation is at least somewhat less stressful when you're not literally going bankrupt just like trying to keep up with treatments, you know what I mean? And based on what we've been getting told about like not even just like assuming that like, oh, Tens was being able to like bankroll her treatments or anything like that, even just going off of like the numbers that we saw from her streaming career, like I feel like she was probably in a position to be able to like manage affording her own treatments. So
he would make sure to mention that in 2023, when he was going through his worst career performance, he was going to quit. But Kaide told him, please just give it one more year, which made him eventually win his second major. Watch it for yourself.
Believe it or not, I would have retired last year if it wasn't for Kaide. I said to myself, like, I'm just gonna like retire. And Kaide said, no, like, trust me, like, stick it out 1 year just for me. And 2023 was such a low point for like my Valorant career. She like told me straight out that there's only up from here. That was the reason that I have played the 2024 season. Honestly, if it wasn't for Kaide convinced me to do 1 more year, I would have never been a part of the Madrid winning roster. I wouldn't have a redemption within champs and get a top 4 finish within the team. So yeah, it's been an awesome ride.
So there you have it. This was not only a perfect couple,
interesting,
they were both perfect and relatable. They, much like the average person, had issues, they had challenges, but through their power of perfect love, they were able to overcome it together, further reinforcing the fact that they were the perfect standard for any relationship and making many of their fans, some that just found them recently, root for them. By this point, they were bigger than ever. However, after Ten's retirement from the pro scene, the on-stream interactions of this couple would reduce itself significantly. And the last major news that we'd hear from them would be on April 2025 when Kaide would announce that she was done with streaming. Watch.
Alrighty, everyone. I probably won't be back to streaming for a while. Or if you do see me, it'll just be randomly every once in a while. But yeah, I'm kind of done with streaming, so bye guys.
This was definitely sudden, and it did spark some rumors as to why she was doing this. Was she focusing on something else? Was her cancer getting worse? You see, for most people, they moved on. They watched someone else, they got back to their job, their actual life. But for a number of people, this simply wasn't enough. They wanted more, and they were about to do everything possible to acquire more information about Kaide and Ten's personal lives.
Oh
and
no.
This was partly made possible due to the fact that both Ten's and Kaide associated with a specific friend group that had some extremely and worryingly parasocial fans. Okay, so here's the deal. For the longest time when it came to Twitch content creation, the status quo involved 2 major groups of people that controlled most viewership. They were divided between 2 cities in the US, the first one being Los Angeles and the second one being Austin. The latter had OTK. If you were a streamer in Austin of any significant size, you couldn't avoid associating with these people. These were the people that you worshipped, hoping to get more opportunities out of. They were known as edgy, politically incorrect, and the opposite of being brand friendly. So
I was gonna say, I think if you were somebody with morals and or just a brain, you probably did not worship OTK. Because let's just say there's a few faces in this photo that I'm looking at, and can't say I idolize in any capacity. Oh dear. Oh my god, can I fucking Pause and unpause,
Their
please.
top creators at the time were Asmongold, Emiru, and Miskiff, as well as Soda Poppin'. On the other hand, though, in Los Angeles, you had offline TV, otherwise known as OTV. This included content creators such as Scara, Pokimane, Disguised Toast, Lily Pichu, and as you might have guessed, they were the complete opposite of OTK. They were wholesome, very politically correct, and extremely brand friendly. Chances were that if you were a substantial content creator who lived in LA, then this group of friends had to have been in your circle. This is why their channel was called Offline TV and Friends. They very regularly featured people outside of OTV that happened to live in LA that were their friends. And while I'm sure that hanging out with OTV must have been an amazing experience, you'd very quickly realize that just by associating with them, you were also associating with a small portion of their fan base that was mentally ill and extremely parasocial. Here's an example.
Oh, wow.
Disguised Toast is one of the more prominent members of OTV.
You're not being shy about it.
Another content creator by the name of X Chocobars. This was a well-known fact as they would publicly announce it to their community. However, to some people, it simply wasn't enough seeing them interacting on stream. They wanted more. And so in 2018, Disguised Toast would uncover a shocking revelation. There were multiple, not one or two, multiple Discord servers that were actively stalking him and his girlfriend, tracking their every move, following them, and taking pictures as well as videos of them whenever they would hang out together.
What?
Interacting in content simply wasn't enough. They wanted to be part of their private lives. Every second of their lives was content, whether they liked it or not. It was an egregious breach of their privacy. It absolutely shocked the streaming world at the time. No one deserves this happening to them. The problem was, though,
yikes.
that OTV didn't really know how to set proper boundaries. Being brand friendly and politically correct comes at a huge cost sometimes. One of them being the fact that you are very easily bullied by just about anyone who gets a viral post on Twitter. For example, in December 2023, Scara would make a fairly harmless joke to one of his friends. Someone random would make a post on Twitter saying that it was racially charged, that it was disgusting, that it was racist to an entire race of people, and instead of putting his foot down saying, dude, this is my friend and we're comfortable, we have our own boundaries, he apologized as if he murdered someone. One of the
I will just say, not necessarily surprised to hear that that it was Scara who ended up making an inappropriate joke just because. Guess where Scara's popularity came from? He is a former League of Legends professional, professional player. He coached very briefly, and then I think he spent some time doing like. Actually, he might still do a fair bit of TFT, but I'm not sure because I don't follow him nor anybody else from offline TV or friends. You can take that for what you will. But yeah, so I'm not super surprised that that he may have made a slightly off color joke that was poorly received by the fans in question.
The first most important rules of content creation is when you give an inch, people will ask for a mile. And that's
True.
exactly how OTV treated their community. They treated them like their overlords, which meant that unfortunately, inevitably, boundaries were never going to be respected. This is where the subreddit OTV Girls Feet comes. Wait, no, that's the wrong subreddit. Wait,
What?
Whoa. Anyway, this is where the subreddit OTV and Friends Rumors comes in. With over 68,000 weekly visitors, it has become one of the most parasocial forums to keep up with the OTV gang as well as their friends. These people will watch every single piece of content produced by both OTV and their friends, whether it be podcasts, vlogs, streams, all in the hopes of finding clues or hints about what their friends are up to. If a
I haven't seen a fandom this obsessive since Critical Role.
streamer's on a random podcast, they'll watch it. If
That joke is going to land really poorly for some people.
that streamer hints that, I don't know, they went on a trip with another streamer from OTV, they would come to this subreddit, make a post about it, and theorize as to what that trip might have been, who might have been there, what could they have done. And that's when the rumors truly start spreading like wildfire. They pretty much tracked your every move. So it was only natural that they'd find it extremely suspicious that Kaede, at the end of December 2025, would private her entire Instagram page. On January 3rd, someone would make a post saying, Tens and Kaede broke up late 2025, early 2026. Little Birdie told me that they split a few days back. Kaede hasn't said or confirmed anything. She went MIA and deleted all pictures on her Instagram. Rip to everyone who believed in their love. if they're not getting back together. Someone would ask, who's your birdie? Another proof? To which that person would say, another streamer that also hangs out with them. I'm watching 10 stream right now and he isn't wearing any rings. He deleted his engagement photos today too. Kaide updated her bio on Instagram to, I'm just currently figuring out my Insta feed lol, don't worry guys, smiley face. But it's weird that Tens deleted their engagement photos.
Why would you do that? Like, I'm gonna be completely for real for a second. Like, just like from the just talking about Tens and Kaide here. Like, why would you delete those photos? Do you not think that I don't know? Maybe I feel like if you're a smaller creator, even if you're like a large creator, but like smaller than these two, I feel like it's maybe reasonable to think like nobody's going to notice and like you just don't want it there for some personal reason or other. But like, I'm looking at the screen right now, 1.4 million followers. Like, you don't think anybody's watching the activity on your account? And I don't know, it's not showing me Tens's, but like, I assume he has somewhat comparable following. Like, y'all don't think that people are like watching what's present and available on your socials?
This person wasn't lying. After she had privated all her posts and she saw people starting to make up rumors, she made sure to include this in her bio, saying, I'm just currently figuring out my Insta feed. Lol, don't worry, guys.
You're just like, you're giving...
Too late, and you'd think that someone as prominent as Kaide would understand that.
Yeah, exactly.
14th, 2026, this post would randomly go viral on Twitter.
You're feeding things like this to happen.
It would simply say, wait, did Tens and Kaide actually break up? ? This right here was the real super spreader event, prompting others to start posting the same screenshot that was shared on Reddit, showing the fact that Kaide had no more posts, and even going as far as checking Sakura streams, Kaide's sister, in which she makes an appearance, and they'd noticed that she didn't have her engagement ring on her finger.
Oh my god.
2 weeks during January 2026, these rumors would start spreading very quickly, and by January 26th, someone would make this post on the subreddit OTV and Friends Drama, a subreddit similar to OTV and Friends Rumors that also gets a sizable amount of weekly visitors, sitting at 51,000. It would say recent rumors.
Oh, these fucking streamer groups, man, I swear to God.
Regarding a potential breakup didn't come from nowhere, and here they had 5 points. The first one being, initially at first, Kaide completely cleansed her Insta feed. Some people say that she removed the engagement post first and then everything on her page after, can't confirm however. The second point, Tens had also removed every post except one with Kaide on Instagram. The engagement post was also unpinned from his Twitter profile. Edit, the last post with Kaide has now been deleted. The third point, Tens had unfollowed her on Instagram a month ago and then refollowed her a bit after. Can't confirm if the same had happened on Twitter. The fourth point, Tens had spent the holidays alone. Kaide was in Vancouver. They had always, the past years prior, spent the holidays together with their families in Canada. And finally, the fifth point, neither Tens or Kaide have been wearing their engagement rings in the past month. They had always been wearing their engagement rings on stream for the past 4 years. This is probably the biggest evidence something happened. Since the rumor blew up a bit on Twitter, Tens and Kaide have not publicly confirmed or denied anything. Tens, a few days ago, since recently coming from a break, said he has some things to figure out. Tens was streaming himself playing Valorant with Kaide on December 7th and then took a break and returned to streaming on the 17th with no engagement ring that he hasn't worn since. If they did indeed break up or go on a break, something happened in those 10 days. Also, considering the brief Instagram unfollow from Tens around the same time span, whatever happened in those 10 days might have ended what was nearly a 7-year relationship.
Man, the fucking Reddit and Twitter detectives really came out in force on this one, didn't they? But I will say, like I was getting into a few minutes ago, like, seems like these two didn't necessarily do a good job of trying to hide. I don't know to what extent they were necessarily wanting to hide it, maybe they wanted this kind of thing to happen. Maybe they thought that if people like figured it out for themselves, it would be easier for them to like reveal it later. I don't know. But if they were hoping to sort of like keep things hush hush, it does seem like they maybe could have done a better job of not provoking the crazies, I guess. I don't know.
This post
I don't know
would
the
get
best
a lot
way to
of
say it.
upvotes, over 300 comments, and eventually would be deleted due to the incredible attention it was getting. People would try to rummage clips from past streams to confirm these theories. On his December 7th stream, he not only was wearing his ring, he was also on a call with Kaide where she was asking him, hey, can you play the game I like? And he'd be saying, when we move, which made it seem like they were going to move somewhere together. They were going to move to a different house. But then when he came back on December 17th, he wasn't wearing a ring and he was saying, when I move, signaling that he wasn't moving with her anymore. But let's take a step back for a second. Let's go back to the initial post we saw from January 3rd, 2026 about this person and their little birdie. One parasocial fan would say, I don't know, man, is Kaide dating John, 39 Daft's ex? Look at this VOD and check 37 minutes, 15 seconds.
Oh no.
A timestamp from an almost 12-hour stream. I'm telling you, man, you don't want to mess with parasocial fans. In it, we can see Fuslie, someone who's known to be in the OTV and Friends circle of friends, talking about a trip she had with Kaide and another man named John. The stream would be on January 19th, 2026, and the trip itself would be after December 7th, so during the time in which she broke up with Tens. Watch for yourself.
Yes, I was with John, John Choi and Kaide. We went to get, what did we get? We got sushi, we got some, we got coffee, yeah, and then it was a good little time.
It really is incredible to me how in a 12-hour VOD, someone
That's it?
just took these 10 seconds
That's it?
to try and prove to the world that their theory is correct. And it was a significant theory. You see, John Choi is none other than 39 Daft's ex. Yes, the same woman who shaved her head in support of Kaide's cancer battle. This was also made even more significant because on the OTV and Friends Rumors subreddit, someone would make a post on September 27th, 2025 saying, Daft and Kaide unfollow each other after Kaide starts hanging out with Daft's ex, John Choi. This post would contain a picture of both Kaide and John hanging out in some island. And this had gotten very dangerous because when it came to the parasocial viewers, they didn't need proof that both Kaide and Tens broke up. They already had it. They had already moved on as to finding a reason why this breakup happened, why this perfect couple separated, and they were already convinced that it was because Kaide cheated. To them, there was enough proof. Why else would 39 Daft and Kaide unfollow each other when they literally were the closest friends? And so, barely a few weeks after these rumors had truly caught on fire, many of these parasocial viewers would be extremely vindicated once Kaide finally speaks out on what's going on between her and Tens. What would follow after would be one of the most catastrophic incidents involving a public couple breaking up.
Oh boy.
On
I'm ready.
February 8th, 2026.
What are we're like 20 minutes in. I'm ready. I feel like we've set the groundwork, right? I feel like we've got more or less all the information we need. Let's charge ahead. What the hell actually happened with all this? Let's go.
Kaide would post a statement saying, hey everybody, Tyson and I feel ready to share some personal news, Tyson being Tens. We've actually been broken up for quite some time now. Toward the end of our relationship, we came to a realization that wasn't easy to accept. We had stopped growing as individuals. For most of our relationship, we did everything together. Work together, hobbies and interests together, pretty much everything together. We've even joked in the past that
Okay.
although we were together for 6 years, it felt like at least 30. We moved in together just weeks after meeting, and from ages 17 to 24, that was all we knew. Over time, it became clear that we needed space to grow into our own people separately. We know the internet often looks for the tea, but the truth is simple. We grew apart. There was no wrong.
I used that phrase earlier, didn't I? Oh, let me finish the tweet before I comment.
Wrongdoing, no resentment, and no single event that caused this. We still deeply care about each other and genuinely want the best for one another. We're also incredibly grateful for the time and life we shared together. Thank you for respecting our privacy.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's not going to happen based on the fact that there's still 30 some odd minutes in this video. I don't know. I personally, and this is me and my personal opinions on relationships, I guess, and preferences. I don't think that is the behavior that was that the characteristics of the relationship that were just described are inherently bad. The way that they were so the way that their lives were so intermingled. I don't think that being that connected and doing so much together, I don't think that that's inherently bad, as long as that is what both people want. But so I think that the idea that like they needed so the kind of implication was like that, like because they'd been that way from the ages of 17 to 24, that like they needed to separate in order to like be capable of growing as individuals. I just don't think that's true. I just don't think that's true. I think that if like I think that if you've decided that a personal goal of yours is to in some way grow and develop as an individual, and you feel like you need time and space to do that on your own, then I personally don't think that necessitates, I don't think that automatically necessitates ending a relationship, a long-term relationship with somebody who I don't know. It's, again, this is just me trying to take that tweet at face value, but I have a feeling we're going to be shown some information that might suggest the contrary. Some of the things that were expressed in there about how like there was no like, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word that means like, anyways, there was no like causing fact. What is the word? I can't think of the word. Anyways.
She would then reply to herself with an image of tens, writing the statement on paper, saying, "This was us cooking it up at the park today, LMAO, and I can already predict the comments because of the use of M dashes in the tweet. Don't piss me off, we didn't use AI." Tens, on the other hand, wouldn't say anything. He would just change his profile picture to a lonely penguin and would simply retweet the statement that Kaide had made. Now look, they were trying to be lighthearted, humorous even. They really wanted everyone to know that there was no problems. This was amicable, there was no tea, no controversy, and they simply wanted to move on. The problem though was that, as I said, people had already made up their minds. They knew about this breakup, but now they wanted to know why. And this whole idea that this was amicable, that there was no resentment or any issues, that simply wasn't gonna cut it. This post would end up getting over 54 million views.
That's crazy.
800 replies, and I can tell you right now, a huge chunk of them are not positive. Many of the top replies were either losing hope in the fact that true love exists, or were just simply shitting on Kaide. This is the most liked reply other than Kaide's own reply, saying, "So he stuck by you during tough times, and when it got better you broke up with him? That's crazy." Or how about this one? "Welcome to the gym, Tens." Oh, and of course we can't forget that one. "Kaide wants a hoe phase." I had just posted this post, but the rumors were running so rampant, people already made up their minds that she got bombarded with unprecedented hate.
I mean,
Of course, were only the replies.
maybe.
The quote tweets were a completely different story. Like this one, with almost 1 million views and 31,000 likes. "Grew apart from the one person who held it down when you had cancer." How about this one? 2.4 million views, 58,000 likes. "Not gonna lie, if I spent 6 years with someone, moved in, did everything with them, and helped them when they got cancer just to break up because she grew out of the relationship, I'm straight up killing myself." Now, of course, this isn't to
Damn,
say
bro.
everyone was hating on her.
You don't gotta come out and say it like that.
And weren't as numerous, some still sided with her in Tens. Like this post saying, "Tens and Kaide, we've been dating since we were 17 and grew apart now that we're in our mid-20s and different people. Dumbest fuckers ever. Wow. Poor Tens. Bro, time to hit the gym, bro. Keep your head up. I hate women. She dumped him even though he stayed when she had cancer." Regardless though, for many of the loudest voices on Twitter, this was about a man who gave everything to a woman and she let him down, just like every woman does. This post says it very clearly. Men can give a girl the world just for her to say, "Did I ask you to do that?" But hey, Kaide and Tens were truly trying their best here to make this lighthearted and not seem as serious as it is. Kaide would go back to the post in which Tens announced that they finally got engaged, and even though it was unpinned, she made a comment saying, "This did not age well, comments incoming, LMAO," to which Tens replied with, "Literally did not age well, skull emoji." This was their attempt to be lighthearted, I guess.
No.
People that had a problem with their breakup,
No,
this
that-
felt nasty.
Holy unnecessary. Like, just entirely a poor like, what a terrible attempt at like at being lighthearted, or like trying to show that things are still like casual and just like terrible attempt at being cheeky. I don't know, that feels so I even as someone who like doesn't get parasocial about content creators, like if I saw that, I'd be like, this just looks awkward. Like, why would you do that? I don't know.
But this post saying, imagine making this post and making a joke in the post where your ex posted your anniversary plus engagement. Why? Just leave it. I question your sincerity. It feels nasty. Look, Kaide had been in some controversies before this, okay? Nothing major by any means, but because of her size, it was definitely bigger than you would expect. This, however, was the most hate she had ever received ever since she started online activities. It was absolutely merciless.
I'm a little curious about those other controversies.
A day after her post, Tens would take it upon himself to make his own post defending her, saying, "Hey everyone, I've been seeing a lot of really weird posts about Kaide and me that are creating false narratives and spreading unnecessary hate. It's really disheartening to see. We parted on completely mutual terms and we still care deeply about each other. It honestly hurts so much to see her being attacked when we both supported each other through insanely difficult times. I also quit playing pro of my own accord and was never influenced by her to quit." This was a rumor going around, by the way, that he had given her everything, even his pro career, just to support her cancer battle. Anyway, he continues, people's goals can change over time, and that is just
Fair.
what happened with me. In a healthy relationship, there should never be comparisons about who sacrificed more or gave more. That mindset is immature and helps nobody. All I ask is that you please respect Kaide as a person and respect the decision we made together. This kind of pointless drama is exactly why having a relationship in the public eye can be so draining. She's
Fair.
also still dealing with ongoing health issues, which makes the negativity being spread even more heartbreaking and unfair. Thank you for understanding, and once again, please respect our decision. This post would also get an insane amount of attention, naturally, since everyone was talking about it. And I do want to highlight the fact that he was saying she is still also dealing with ongoing health issues. That's because by this point, people were insinuating that she had beaten cancer, and that because she beat it, she was finally ready to let Tens go from her life after he supported her, when that wasn't true. But even though this hate against Kaide stemmed from people quote-unquote defending Tens, the victim, this post did not help at all. People were...
So I like that Mujin does, with the way that he phrased that, he makes it clear that like these people are kind of using defending Tens as like a pretense for some of the things they're saying. And so I feel like maybe I should just, for my own self, for my own sake, make it clear that like some of these comments that were being shown in this video, like this is kind of just some straight incel bullshit happening, right? Where guys are just like, some guys are like, they're seeing a breakup and they're just like, they're seeing an immediate opportunity to just like project all of their personal relationship insecurities and reasons why they like hate women onto like this one situation and this one person, whether it's, you know, the male side or female side of things that they're choosing to talk more about, with like either telling Tens he needs to hit the gym or calling out Kaide for basically being a whore and like cheating or whatever. Again, at this point in time, at least, largely unfounded. You know, there's rumors that have been discussed so far in this video, at least, but for the like unproven so far, as far as I've seen to this point in the video. And yeah, that's just felt like maybe I should just kind of like stake my little position on some of the things that we've been being shown so far.
not having it. The most liked comment in the replies would say, I'm not saying the hate is justified or anything, but a mutual breakup doesn't actually exist and nobody thinks so.
Oh, that's a take. A mutual breakup doesn't actually exist and nobody thinks so. I don't know. Like, yes and no, I guess. I don't know. I feel like even if you agree with the idea, I feel like it's being stated trying to make a very specific kind of point, if you know what I mean. And so it's hard to agree with the person who's saying it. Does that make sense?
Or how about this guy? Tens is still protecting her out of love even though she broke his heart. The same person would call her evil and would post a random TikTok comment that pretty much was saying their theory about this. About how he said on stream that he was having a rough week, that he was all alone. Meanwhile, Kaide was hanging out with her sister and friends, making it seem like he was abandoned. There's even one guy here saying, here's your answer, bro. Even a cold-hearted person will have no choice but to say something about this. Linking an image of an AI summary, saying that as part of Kaide's treatment, she underwent a bone marrow transplant, which was successfully performed using donor cells from her partner, Tens. Guys, you have to understand, a bone marrow transplant is one hell of a procedure. It's not like a blood donation. There's a 1 in 1 million chance that you even match the other person in order to donate to them, and the symptoms are not very straightforward. Muscle pain, bone pain, headache, fatigue, nausea, etc., etc. And yet, the only time Kaide said anything after her post was here, saying, where the fuck are you even getting
Okay, I was gonna say, that was an AI overview, right? So it's just making shit up.
Reading lies. This was a complete fabrication from the AI this person was using. And yet,
I love AI!
this person will still have the gall to reply saying, oh, people aren't buying that. Look, regardless of what you might think so far, it was obvious. Both Kaide and Tens were in a situation that truly warranted the saying, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You say something, you get shat on. You don't, you'll get shat on anyway. The rumor mill had totally spread out of control. And
Welcome to
people
being
were
a content
seeming to
creator.
believe that this was amicable, that nothing happened behind the scenes. This is also where the post I had shown you on Reddit would start to spread like wildfire on Twitter. This tweet got close to 10 million views, and they'd link both the post where Daph and Kaide unfollowed each other because Kaide was hanging out with Daph's ex, as well as the other 5-point post that was talking about Tens and Kaide's breakup. So now it wasn't just about misinformation like him giving his bone marrow to her. It was also about cheating, right? Getting cheated on by the girl you gave your bone marrow to has to be the most gut-wrenching shit imaginable. People had already made up their minds here. I mean, people would take it even a step further, saying this John Choi guy is screwing all these big female streamers like Extra Emily, because he also dated her, 39 Daph, because he's her ex, and now Kaide, when all these girls used to be friends, cold world. So now this guy was a player who couldn't keep his sausage in his pants and who was literally jumping from bed to bed. This had gotten so
good for him. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out like to what extent this guy like actually fits in all this. Like we didn't get any details necessarily about the circumstances behind John Choi and 39 Daph's breakup. So like we don't know to what extent that relationship ended amicably or not, right? And so it's still possible, I think, that the whole like Kaide and 39 Daph unfriending each other or following each other, whatever, on Instagram, like it's still possible that that was like unrelated to this, right? And to that end, I also want to mention real quick that like Kaide and John in this like picture being on some kind of like trip or something, seemingly, like people can hang out with people they're not fucking just like as friends, right? Like that's still a thing that happens these days, right? And it's also like we haven't, at least again, not in this video, like we haven't gotten into any kind of details about this trip. Like it could have been something that involved more people besides just these two that are featured in this one picture that's being used as evidence of cheating, supposedly. So like there's still just like so much like circumstantial nonsense that's being bandied about. I don't know, man.
Out of control. That Tens directly quote tweeted that post we just saw of those two Reddit posts and said, okay, this is genuinely disgusting that people are still spitting out bullshit onto the timeline. There's some stuff I'm going to clear up since people are just throwing around blind hate to push a narrative that is non-existent.
Here we go.
As a friend of both mine and Kaide. Just because
say it with your full chest.
That I was supposed to come out on, but had to cancel last minute with one of my best friends from high school there with them, who also is conveniently cropped out of the photo to once again push this crazy cheating story.
Sometimes I just shouldn't speak. Sometimes I should just wait a minute before saying things. And this was even on the screen as I was talking. I wasn't reading it. I was busy thinking and talking and making my points, but this was literally on the screen as I was saying those things.
Story is fucking wild.
I see, yeah, man.
People start speculating things in a relationship they have absolutely nothing to do with. They should focus on fixing their own insecurities so it's not projected outwards. Also, I have absolutely no clue how people started saying I donated bone marrow to her when I most definitely did not.
Oh, thank you, AI overview.
This type of shit is just rage bait, but it's genuinely pretty hard for me to get emotionally charged like this. So obviously by now, these two were expecting some sort of backlash for breaking off one of the most popular content creation relationships in history, but they got completely and utterly sucker punched in the face when they realized just how much the hate was rampant. They weren't expecting this level of controversy. And while some people were wishing them the best and supporting them, others were still here to say, this is some cuck post for sure. So now he went from a victim to a cuck. But here's the deal.
These people aren't real. Or at the very least, like, these are the kind of people who, like, just haven't had real meaningful relationships in their lives, I guess. Like, I don't really know what else to say about when I see comments like that. I really just, like, I don't know what else to say.
Objectively speaking, he truly wasn't wrong about this picture that was being spread everywhere. He was saying it was cropped, but if you Google image search it, it's almost impossible to find the original image.
I was gonna say, can we see the uncropped version?
There was no source to the original. I had to go to John Choi's personal Instagram to find it. This was the only way.
There we go.
Tens wasn't lying. His best friend was there. In fact, he was the guy taking this selfie. But still, just because of this picture, by the way, there are like over a dozen pictures in this. It's a photo dump. All the comments here are asking, you and Kaide dating? Making fun of the fact that they're cheating. And of course, the fact that he's suspicious. Additionally, people would be spreading around this image, this chat log of Kaide on this trip saying, I'm sorry, LMAO, not my fault, LMAO. I'm stuck here for a day. And John got the time wrong. Me and Suvan missed the last boat. Tyson, don't be mad. This was Kaide typing in Tenz's chat back in September 2025, just a couple of months before they had broken up. It was in reference to how she had missed the boat along with John and Suvan during their trip that was displayed in this image, forcing her to spend one more day with them. To the people who were calling Kaide a cheater, this was evidence that Kaide was starting to cheat on Tenz, because why else would she say, please don't be mad? In reality though, if we want to be objective, she was maybe saying this because she knows he would worry, and she didn't want him to get worried over their lack of responsibility. In the end though, it's up to you to decide.
Also, like, there's so many reasons why someone might say something like that like don't involve some nefarious, like, I don't know. I read those comments and simply did not think anything serious or malicious of them, but maybe I'm just too naive.
The final thing that Tyson or Tenz would say during this controversy would be, playing esports made me immune to feeling anything from internet hate. To the people still projecting, please interact with this tweet so I can collect some Twitter revenue and pop champagne tonight in honor of you. Emoji. And again, the top replies here are calling him a cuck. Holy cuck fest. Bro got cucked so hard he has to pretend he's happy for the fans. I'm pretty sure I have to censor that word because YouTube hates it, but I'm sure you know what a cuck is. CK. The second most liked reply would be, the crash out continues because your girl clapped another man. These people were relentless. Tenz was trying his best to keep his composure, to act calm and collected, but the parasocials would take it a step further, and they'd find out through their own crazy research that he had not taken this breakup well at all when it first happened back in December. On the OTV and Friends drama subreddit, someone would make a post about how Tenz had created a new secret Instagram and Twitter account purely to follow a woman on December 21st.
Oh no.
At a UC Davis party that was 6 hours from Los Angeles. These accounts were not secret because they were called Not Tyson. Here's the timeline of events. They estimate that the breakup happened around December 8th to 15th. On December 17th, he didn't have his ring on stream. On December 20th, he streamed again and said he was going to a party with friends. Eyewitnesses report that they saw Tenz at UC Davis in the dorm hallways at 2 a.m. on December 21st after the party. On January 5th or 6th, he would make secret Instagram and Twitter accounts called Not Tyson, and he would only have one person he'd follow, who was a girl that he had met at UC Davis. The parasocials went as far as stalking this woman, going to her Instagram page and interacting with it so much to the point where she now privated it. However, that didn't stop someone from that same subreddit from posting an image of her and her username. Of course, I'm censoring it for the sake of her privacy, right?
Good on him.
Saying it's there.
Good on you, Mujin.
Regard to the privacy of someone who has nothing to do with this. And the reason why some people bothered to mention this was because they wanted to show that Tyson wasn't taking this well, that he needed a rebound because of how heartbroken he was, that it wasn't his decision. In the end though, who knows? Up to you to decide. Look, by this point, Tens had tried his absolute best to cover for his ex that he still cared for, but it didn't matter. This post has over 1.6 million views, 61,000 likes, saying, ending a 6-year relationship on just messages after he sacrificed his career for you and stayed loyal. Women are evil, bro. Evil. This post was made quote tweeting a clip that had nothing to do with this. It was literally the clip I told you about before, where Kaide was asking Tens, hey, can you play that game I like? And him saying yes when we move. There is no indication, there was nothing that told us that they broke up over text. Nothing. And at this point, I have to believe that this.
I was actually going to ask, like, did I miss something about these messages that are being referenced? Because I wasn't sure what this tweet was talking about. Good to know that it's actually, as per usual, just the Twitter troll being delusional.
Post was made purely to farm views and impressions so that they can get paid. I don't have another explanation over this. This had gotten so out of control that 39 DAF had to quote tweet Ten's tweet saying, please don't use me to fuel
Wow.
Me and Kaide's falling out had nothing to do with John and was over an unrelated issue we didn't see eye to eye on last year.
Hey, this is something else that I wanted to hear about that I said earlier, right?
They've been good friends with each other and I have no issues with that or with them. I don't like this heavy mischaracterization of others to push some nonsensical story. Yes, I'm no longer involved in their lives, but they are not deserving of the onslaught of slanderous dogpiling. John is not a homewrecker and Kaide never did anything malicious. That's all. So even 39 DAF, someone who had unfollowed Kaide, who had stopped being her friend around the end of 2025, was coming out here to defend them. She couldn't even stand seeing this. But of course, again, it didn't matter what anyone said. The top liked replies here are, it's okay. John Choi cracked both of you and it's okay. Thanks for reminding us that you fell out with Kaide also because of John. Damn. They paid you off too. No, this has to be rage bait, dude. Like, even this has to be rage bait. So even 39 DAF coming in for defense wasn't doing much. So as you can imagine, when John Choi himself was forced to make a statement, this also didn't change much either. He'd come out to say, no, I'm not dating Kaide and I have never hung out with her outside of a group setting. Stop cropping photos to make it look like we have. Tyson is a friend and has stated himself that these rumors are false, so please stop sending me death threats on his behalf.
Dude, is this guy even a content creator? Or is this dude just like some random fairly attractive guy who's gotten caught up in all this streamer bullshit? Because like, dude's gonna go into 2027 being like, my New Year's resolution is never to talk to anybody who streams on Twitch or makes YouTube videos or anything of the like ever again.
Heart emoji. You want to guess what the most liked reply said?
Cock?
Crazy what Kaide is forcing all her men to post.
Close enough.
John Choi would reply to his post, quote tweeting what Ten said, as well as link an image saying 21% of adults in the US are illiterate. 54% of adults have a literacy below 6th grade level. 20% are below 5th grade level. Low levels of literacy cost the US up to 2.2 trillion per year.
This is so funny because the last video that I watched and recorded a reaction to was a video about literacy that has all of those stats as talking points in the video. I think I'm actually going to be uploading this video before that one potentially. But that is the last video that I actually watched before this one was a video on literacy. So look for that on the channel, I guess, if you wanna hear me talk about something that's like a bit more serious than whatever this clown show fiesta fuck is.
Reply right under that says, sure buddy, laughing emoji, showing John Choi wearing the same beanie that Kaide's wearing, using it as proof that they're in a relationship.
Gasp! Friends have similar accessories sometimes that they may have bought at a event where they were hanging out together, where there was a like a nearby shop or something that they visited to. Oh, you know, I guess that there's perfectly reasonable and logical explanations to why those two pictures might exist, isn't there? Oh well, moving on.
I do have to say, though, that the top reply to this post ratioed it over 6 times and said, "I'm wearing the same shoes your mother wears. That must mean I'm fucking her." In any case, now we had reached a point where everyone, whether they wanted to be involved or not with this breakup, had.
Hold up, Mujin. I gotta call you out. You're not gonna bring up the reply to that, the incredibly clever and refined response of, "You wearing a high heel, you gay?" Truly, it shows the caliber of the kind of people we are dealing with here.
to make some sort of a statement.
I need to stop pausing so much.
Barely 48 hours had passed.
Oh my
since
God,
the
I've been
initial
recording for an
breakup
hour.
from Kaide, and things had devolved to a level that had not been seen before, especially for an amicable breakup. But again, as you might have surmised by now, that didn't matter. Even after Ten's tweets, 39 daps, John Choi's everything, it didn't matter. People were still peddling the idea that she broke up with him over text, that it wasn't mutual, and there's no such thing as mutual breakups. It's a fantasy, and the vast majority is pushed by the woman. Soon you'd start to see posts like this saying, maybe the cancer will come back. That would be funny. And now look, as disturbing as that post is, I mean, seriously, wishing for cancer to come back over something like this is wild.
Holy yikes.
Underscores the need for me to emphasize that Kaide had not in any way defeated the cancer by now. This was another piece of misinformation that was being peddled like it's the truth. This chick.
Just random note, medically speaking, I feel like a lot of people don't understand this about cancer, that like once it goes away, once your cancer is like in remission, it doesn't mean you're like actually like 100% cancer free like going forward. Like it varies a lot, like depending on like the kind of cancer and like the treatments you go through and whatnot. But like a lot of cancers, like even if you're like cancer free, you know, say you're cancer free at like 2020, just to pick like a year that's like easy to map with like addition and subtraction. You might be like, if you get cancer 2020, let's say, you go through treatments for 2 years, and then by 2022 you're cancer free, you might need to be monitored and get checkups to like make sure that you stay cancer free for like the next few months to few years. Like you might not actually be like really cancer free until like 2025 in this, like, again, this like very random scenario I'm throwing out here. But you might go back for like one of your checkups in like 2023 or 2024, and they could be like, oh, we actually see signs that it's like coming back. So like yeah, when someone celebrates something, like I'm pretty sure, from what I recall, at least again from what I was shown in the video, like she was celebrating the fact that she like wasn't on chemotherapy anymore, and so was able to grow her hair out again. That isn't the same as, you know, not having to worry about having cancer again, right? So this is just something that, like, again, I feel like broadly speaking, people don't necessarily realize about cancer.
Literally still had cancer.
Felt worth mentioning.
Like she defeated it. And there was no shortage of vile comments like this, whether it was directed at Kaide or Tens, calling him a cuck and a million other things. And then just as you thought that maybe things were finally about to die down, maybe we could finally move on from this very stupid, incredibly blown out of proportion drama, a self-admitted pedophile would step into the ring. And he would, for some reason, make it a million times worse.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot that was something that was said in the intro to this video. Oh God, no wonder there's still nearly 20 minutes left.
Hunter Mims, otherwise known as 6CS, was a pro Valorant player. He actually was on the same exact team as Tens and played with him as a teammate in the Sentinels team. However, he'd be kicked out of the team in 2023 when he'd be arrested following an altercation at a car dealership. A few months later, he'd be arrested again, this time for trespassing on that same car dealership.
What?
The mugshot would of course be shared all over the internet, and it was very obvious through his actions and his very erratic, crazy tweets that this person was deeply unwell. Something had happened. It was also deeply painful for his friends and people who knew him, with Shazam, an ex-Counter-Strike pro and someone who's played in the Valorant pro scene, tweeting this out after his second arrest. "Hey guys, I have Sick blocked so I can make this tweet. He's not himself right now. Please try your best to ignore his tweets and erratic behavior for now. I promise this isn't who he is. Thanks for being understanding."
I needed to look around and see the date. This was back in May 2023. I was gonna say, because I know that the way Twitter works now, even if you block someone, they can still see what you tweet. That was a change they made on Twitter. So not how this works anymore. Just for anyone who's curious.
In fact, on top of this, the Sentinel's CEO would also promise to be in contact with his family in order to try and help him. But it seemed like no matter what they did, Sick didn't want to be helped. And unfortunately, it would...
Instigating factor. I think that might have been the word I was looking for earlier. Instigating. Inciting. Inciting? Maybe one of those two. Sorry. ADHD moment.
Way worse. Sick would go on the website known as ePal, where you can hire people, mostly women, to play video games with you, and that's exactly what he'd do.
What?
Except they'd have a very disturbing conversation where he would pretty much admit that he was attracted to minors. This would
What?
prompt the person with him to start recording and share it online so that people can be aware that this man is a freak. This would all be revealed in the beginning of 2025. Watch for yourself.
Of course it's happening while they're playing fucking Genshin Impact. God damn it.
And of course, like too young, like, yeah, like 12, 13, 14, maybe, I don't know. Like, that's really bad. And
Okay.
even, of course, I'm 27, so it's bad no matter what. So I won't justify it. I'm just still telling my mindset. Like, and I'm not a violent person. I'm not a mean person. I'm not a rude person. I don't do drugs. I don't really drink alcohol. I don't fucking mad. Like, I don't insult people. I'm pretty, like, stable guy.
So here he was, pretty much admitting to someone he had just met that he's into 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds. He knew that this was very bad because he's 27 and tried to downplay it by saying he's not a violent person, he doesn't do drugs, etc., etc. Look, one thing was obvious.
I'm sorry. I'm so curious how we got to that point in the conversation. Is anybody else like where did this come from? Like what was happening in the conversation prior to him saying these things? Am I the only one who's like, how did we get here in this I don't know. But also, wasn't he just like, I feel like the intent is like you're trying to like read between the lines of what he's saying almost, but trying to give him benefit of the doubt. Wasn't he just saying that was too young? Did I misunderstand the quote that was? I'm actually going to go back and I feel like this is a very important point. So I'm actually going to go back
Someone he had just met
and see what he just said again.
People can be aware that this man is a freak. This would all be revealed in the beginning of 2025. Watch for yourself.
And of course, like too young, like, yeah, like 12, 13, 14, maybe, I don't know. Like, that's really bad. And even, of course, I'm 27, so it's bad no matter what. So I won't justify it. I'm just still telling my mindset. Like, and I'm not like.
Okay, so no, I think I did maybe misunderstand. I thought he was saying too young as in like that's something he wouldn't be interested in. But I think honestly I think part of the conversation is missing. I think it is easy to have the misunderstanding that I just had. I think what we're supposed to be taking from that quote, from that clip, is him saying that like he recognizes that liking people that are that young looks bad, but it doesn't matter necessarily to him because that's just what his interest is. And if that's what I'm supposed to be taking, dear fucking God.
Hey, I'm not a violent person. I'm not a mean person. I'm not a rude person.
And then
I
like
don't
this
do drugs,
stuff, like
I don't
where did
drink alcohol,
where
I
did
don't,
this
you know,
come
I don't
from?
fucking mad. Like, I don't insult people.
Why did this
I'm
get
pretty
brought up?
stable.
Why is this
He
relevant?
was pretty much admitting to someone he had just met that he's into 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds. He knew that this was very bad because he's 27 and tried to downplay it by saying he's not a violent person, he doesn't do drugs, etc., etc. Look, one thing was obvious. This self-admitted pedophile was a very deeply disturbed person, and he so badly needed help. And it's not like there was any shortage of it, it just seemed like he was refusing it. In any case, as this was all happening, he would decide to join in on the dogpiling of Kaide and Ten's breaking up. Again, Ten's used to be one of his teammates. He'd say, you know what I don't understand, and this is just generally speaking, how can people say, the people involved in this situation were forced to make a statement when they're engagement baiting about their own drama to begin with? You can't pick the kind of attention you get. So here he'd be linking a now apparently deleted tweet of John Choi where he was using that same picture with the frog beanie, as well as adding red eyes to himself, as well as the picture where Kaide was trying to be lighthearted, making fun of the situation on the engagement post. Seeing that this guy used to be a friend of Ten's, this of course got a lot of attention, reaching almost 1 million views. However, what was really interesting here...
Wait. I feel like I don't understand what he's trying to say. Am I going like Looney Tunes from fucking recording this long? Like, or is this guy just like really bad at expressing himself? You know what I don't understand, this is just generally speaking, how can people say the people involved in this situation were forced to make a statement? I feel like the way that I'm interpreting that, I agree. Is he not saying, is he not calling out like the comments who were like talking about how like Kaide was like forcing people to like defend her? Is that not what that is saying? When they are engagement baiting about their own drama to begin with? Yeah, and is that not talking about like the parasocial people who are like trying to, like, who turned this whole relationship drama into the drama to begin with, because like it didn't need to be a drama until people got all like, oh well, this is the reason that it happened, and like this is why like Kaide's actually like a cheating bitch because of this, that, and the like, isn't this what he's saying? This seems like, actually, am I like so incredibly far off base with the way that I'm interpreting this? I'm so curious to hear if I'm like just completely missing the mark, because right now what I'm looking at looks like a sensible take.
Is that once 39 Daff was made aware of its existence, she took it upon herself to reply to it.
Okay,
saying,
never mind.
Shut the fuck up.
I must be wrong.
Say, yes, a very logical and in-depth response, classic rage from you. Don't make me put your friend on blast, Daff, because I easily can. Who or what exactly are you trying to defend here? I thought you didn't talk to these people anymore. She'd say, go ahead, it's not like it's a secret. Most people distance from you as a result of your erratic, unsocial behavior the past few years. I don't talk to these people, but that doesn't mean I don't find it wrong to instigate the insane mob further. Your words have weight as an ex-teammate. Delusional people are sourcing your suspicions founded on nothing to connect unrelated dots. Godspeed.
What?
Some would then say, okay, I think you're just being a little emotional right now, but I'll go ahead and spill the beans. I'm sure Kaide will be very grateful for you. Give me 15 minutes. I wasn't instigating anything, nor was I raising suspicions. If you took one moment to read, you would see that. This is when...
Okay, so I think I was actually right. Because he seems to be doubling down. So I wasn't instigating anything. I mean, you can, like, sure, you can argue, like, he didn't need to say anything at all. Like, he didn't need to offer his opinion. But, like, I feel like what he said was completely fine, if I'm being honest.
Staff would say, in 5 minutes, I better see the spiciest beans of my life. This is when shit would truly get real. So much so that it would become a trending topic on Twitter, with the title Sick and 39 Daft
What?
trade serious accusations in Kaide 10's breakup drama. He would quote tweet one of 39 Daft's replies to him and say, Daft decided to attack me personally over her own friend's engagement baiting on the timeline, so here it is. Kaide told me multiple times in multiple ways that she wanted to experiment with other men, and that was quite some time ago, so I can only imagine what she acted on.
Oof. But also, her own friend's engagement baiting on the timeline. But he also recognized that Daft doesn't talk to Kaide or Tens anymore, right? So I don't think he's referencing those two. I think he's talking about other people. It's so I want to point out that part of the reason why I'm confused is because like we were presented this guy as like some mentally ill pedo, right? And so I'm automatically assuming that like his involvement in this situation is going to be overall negative because of that. But so yeah, that's why I'm feeling like I must be like misinterpreting something, because so far I feel like what he said and the ways he's responded have actually been fine. I don't know.
Anyone who thinks I'm lying about this can simply go back in time. Kaide literally sat down with me in Brazil one-on-one at a restaurant, and she admitted to this when she snaked me out to an ex-girlfriend, but I promise you she wanted to cheat for years. That's a fact. He would then link a couple of images of their DMs, saying, this is the sit down I had with her that I'm referring to, by the way. We talked about many personal things on both ends. Difference is I never went behind her back, but I know what kind of person she can be behind the camera, and clearly someone has to say something. So this is back in February 2023, and here we can see Kaide saying, I hope you understand that after the conversation with you that I had at lunch, I talked to Tyson. Sick would say, I wish you the best of luck, my friend. Yes, of course, don't mind. To which she said, and we came to a consensus to talk to Karis. This was during the time that everything was already aired out on Twitter. To which he'd say what you want. Yes. She'd then say, I called her asking her side of the story, and no, I'm not going to just say what I want. Some of the conversation will be cut off here, and then we'd find ourselves with Kaide saying, Hunter, you aren't a good person, but you're making this worse on yourself. You tried cheating on Karis before Berlin. You've said the N-word multiple times in public in front of me, Tarek, and Tyson. All these
Classic gamer using gamer words, I suppose. Oh dear. It is what it is on that one. I don't know. He's a professional Valorant player, or was a professional. Like I can't say I'm surprised, right? I also feel like, frankly speaking, that kind of thing has less weight than the liking 12, 13, and 14-year-old thing, so...
These things could get you easily canceled, and this isn't something I fucking want. This is when he'd reply with, okay, I don't know anything, do it, man. To which she said, no, I won't be doing that. He would then say, for those unaware, all of this on my end has already been addressed, thanks to her yapping about it mostly, so I don't mind self-reporting to stir the pot, obviously. So what are these messages exactly, other than the fact that they proved that he cheated and also said the N-word? This wasn't even the first time that he showed these DMs. He actually showed all of them to completion on stream around 2023. Retake has a great video explaining all this with the title, What Happened to Sick? In a nutshell, during the major in 2023, he wasn't allowed in to support his teammates. He couldn't even go and watch. Even though he was out of the team's roster, he couldn't even go inside to watch the games and support them. This would make him start posting some erratic tweets, with many fans being concerned over his mental health. It didn't seem like he was doing well at all. This, of course, all happened after the first time he got arrested. And then shortly afterwards, during all this, Karis, his then girlfriend, would announce on Twitter that she was breaking up with him because he had flown out a random girl to Brazil after he had a small fight with her, saying that he was lying, telling everyone that they were in an open relationship when that wasn't the case. People were also aware that he had a one-on-one dinner with Kaide. She was one of the only people who was willing to talk to him when he couldn't get into the venue. And this is when Sick's ex-girlfriend would also add that Kaide told her that Hunter made her uncomfortable uncomfortable, which made many people theorize that, oh, did he actually try to hit on her? Did he try to do things to her? Months would pass, and after he would get arrested a second time, he would admit that there was something wrong with him and that he was going to go get therapy. Now that he was back though, to Sick, this was about redemption and revenge. From his point of view, Kaide had ruined his relationship, all while doing the same exact things that she accused him of doing, which was cheating, wanting to be non-monogamous. He'd even emphasized this in this series of tweets. One of the last things he'd say would be, Kaide went behind my back and told people all kinds of things about me in the past. I'm tired of these women thinking they have immunity to criticism. I know how evil they can be and it's right to call them out. I will provide more information later. He has
I love every time one of these guys talks about how evil women can be, their credibility drops like a fucking rock in my mind. Okay, so I was trying to give this guy some credit initially, but now I'm sitting here like, where was this supposed proof? I don't know. I feel like I didn't see anything that confirmed the claims and accusations of Kaide being a cheating bitch. Where was it? I'm all for being shown that that's what was happening, but I feel like I wasn't.
hasn't done so yet. Now look, objectively speaking, these DMs, they don't really prove anything. This is a drama that, as far as...
Why do I speak? Why? Just tell me, just answer my questions before I ask them, video.
everyone was aware was already solved in the past. And at the end of the day, it didn't really make him look good. It only made him look bad for people who weren't aware about these DMs. The only thing they proved is that yes, he cheated and he said the N-word. And Kaide, if anything, was one of the only people reaching out to him during his extremely erratic behavior. When 39daf would see this, she'd make fun of the fact that he had no proof, saying, "You told me multiple times in the past you enjoyed sexting underage young girls. That was last year, so I can only imagine what you acted on." This was, of course, bait, and he would take it, saying, "Okay, now we are just lying.
Oh no.
I've never had a conversation with you in my life." Shameless, the lengths women go to try and cover for each other. Unlike your claims, I have had actual face-to-face conversations with Kaide. Perhaps log off because getting caught in lies won't work. She would continue to bait him, and he would keep biting, with her saying, "We did have some conversations face-to-face when we did org shoots together. You kept insisting you enjoyed them younger, but I told you that wasn't okay." To which he'd say, "Still trying to gaslight me. It's simply not true. I quite literally have never spoken to you about these things or anything. Keep gulping and trying to deflect the actual issue at hand." Hell, even I join in on the fun and saying, "You see, I would have believed you if Kaide was a minor, but seeing that she is over the age of 15, it's impossible that you would have been interested enough to have a conversation." And to my surprise,
Why? For what purpose? Actually though, like, objection, Your Honor. Relevance? At this point, it just feels like we're trying to fuck with this guy. Even though we're kind of past the point of establishing that he doesn't actually have anything to do with the situation that we were supposed to be talking about. Oh, hey. Unpause, damn it.
he'd actually reply, but then would delete his tweet. You see, someone would say, "I respect you a lot, Mujin, but despite all the potential evidence, you really don't think there's any chance of foul play? I'm asking you to be open-minded here." To which I would say, "Working on a video right now, and it'll cover all viewpoints objectively. But Sick is someone who admitted he liked minors, has been in jail, and is known to have erratic mood swings. It will be a major lapse in judgment to take anything he says seriously unless he has proof," which he did.
Fair.
That is simply an objective fact here. This is when he would reply to me before deleting his tweet very shortly afterwards, saying, in quotations, "known to have erratic mood swings." So a period of a few months 3 years ago? Anyone who knows me knows I'm actually very logical and level-headed, and my streams prove that as well, by the way. To which someone replied with, "Didn't even bother arguing against the minors thing because you know it's over."
Oops.
Bro, he completely
did-
ignored this point.
He did miss that
Look,
part,
to
didn't
remain
he?
Completely and entirely objective here. Maybe he's saying the truth. Maybe what he's saying actually happened.
I love this
His
meme.
past history and his very self-destructive behavior, it's very hard to take him seriously. Additionally, he doesn't have the proof he claimed to have. Saying that she told you multiple times in multiple ways, I don't know how else she would have been able to express that she wanted to experiment with other men, is one hell of an accusation when someone is in a relationship. Especially seeing how outraged Kaide was when she found out that Hunter was cheating on his girlfriend. But to the many people that had it out for Kaide, to the many people who truly believed that she cheated, they saw all of this as a great manipulation tactic by Daph, Kaide, and John to completely discredit someone saying the truth, like Sick, by calling him a pedophile, by using his background of erratic behavior and the fact that he landed in jail twice. His tweet calling out Daph has over 3.6 million views, over 13,000 likes. If anything, this only served as further proof that Kaide was a whore. And that's the only thing that mattered. After seeing all the attention,
Does YouTube not like the word whore?
Sick had no intention
Or
of
is
backing
Mujin
down.
just
In
like-
fact, he chose to double
Does he
down.
just like
The next day
over-censor
he'd
to
go
be
live,
safe?
reassure everyone that he's doing just fine. In fact, he's feeling the best he's ever felt, and would go into more detail as to what Kaide told him specifically when they had that one-on-one talk in Brazil. Here's
Is bro streaming shirtless? I'm gonna be honest, that's another thing that when I see it, it's kind of hard for me to take someone seriously.
a couple of clips to show you. Watch.
Sick, you're clearly underworld. These people are in chat watching because they're finding you destroy yourself further. Seek help. Now projecting. See, this is what I mean. Projecting. Or rage bait. And parasocial all in one. I've been streaming for over a year now, and I've been completely normal. But I promise you, in a conversation, it happened. Okay, she said she wanted to experiment with men. She said she wanted to experiment with other girls. She said, oh, Kaide's, not Kaide, tends is to like, what's the word when like, when you just want to have one partner, and he gets like too jealous. She literally said all that.
Possessive?
No, there's like a term for when you want only one partner. I don't know.
Monogamous?
Monogamous, yeah. She literally said she said it like it wasn't normal. He's like, oh yeah, he's too monogamous for like me to be able to like experiment with other people. I'm like, yeah, sure.
So now he was more specific as to what he was saying. In his initial post, when he said she let me know multiple times in more ways than one that she wanted to experiment with other people, this is what he meant. This clip has 15,000 views, and many of the comments are actually siding with him. The logic here is simple. Why would this guy lie when he has literally nothing to lose? He has no friendships to care for, he has no team to get kicked out of, and he's really selling the idea that he's never felt better. He's known to have no filter, and very easily will admit terrible things about himself, like he did with that EPAL call where he was saying that he was attracted to minors. So why would he be lying about this today? On the next day, on February 13th, 2026, Sick would tweet again about this topic, this time saying, I've watched Tens easily clutch 1 versus 5 in Valorant, but somehow he couldn't clutch a 6-year-long relationship. To be fair though, it's hard to win when the other team is cheating. This post would get over 4 million views. More than
Wow.
any post he's made so far. For the people who had a problem with Kaide, Sick was becoming their representative, the voice of reason who knew the truth. At the same time though, one couldn't really deny that his behavior was becoming obsessive, creepy even, with how he was acting towards Kaide. And there was a reason for that. He never hid the fact that he was somewhat obsessed with her. Back during May 2023, after being arrested for the second time, he'd go through her Instagram profile, liking every single post on stream in order to try and catch her attention. Watch for yourself.
Huh?
You know, okay. Did I like this one already? No, I didn't. Okay, that's it. Wait, I like one more. She looks like that's pretty. I don't know. Anyways, I'll go back. What? Who the fuck is this? Okay, never mind. Fuck all this. I'm closing it all. Okay, that's enough. I could call her, but actually, I need her Discord. Is she streaming? She is. But how do we spam that? I need her Discord to call her. Can someone spam? I need your Discord. What? My message wasn't posted due to the conflict with Nature Mod. Hello?
So does he truly have a problem with her? Is there a problem with him mentally? And is he really doing this because he thinks it's the right thing, or because he's always had a crush on her and is happy to see her finally breaking up with Tens? As you might have guessed by now, I'll let you come up with your own opinion. Just know though that barely before I was going to upload this video, he would make this comment on Twitter. Someone would reply to his post and say, "At this rate, I think you might want Kaide." To which he would say, "So what if I do?" ?
Holy.
Whatever,
Well,
man. This dude is the Kanye West of Valorant. That is a fact. But Sick causing so much damage wasn't the only thing that Kaide and Tens had to work.
do I want to comment on that? I feel like there's no appropriate way to comment on that. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it.
Because the parasocials would find something very interesting that was on none other than Ten's own subreddit. Someone had made a thread back in October 22nd, 2023 with the title "Kaide cheating on Tens."
Oh yeah, this was also in the
Cheating
intro.
on Tens at TwitchCon. I swear I'm not lying. Believe me, she is a cheater. I saw it with
Wait.
my own eyes.
Wait, there's no way.
This had 166 upvotes.
Was this
76
sick?
comments. Today, it has over 325 upvotes, 129 comments. People found it and started interacting with it, saying that this person was a messiah. Many of the comments left back then were doubting them. Now people are praising them. It seemed like no matter what Kaide could ever do, no matter what Tens could ever do, no matter what anyone could ever hope to do, there was no convincing some people that she didn't cheat. They were already convinced, and nothing was going to change their minds. This amicable breakup that was figured out in private was now one of the biggest controversies the internet had ever seen over rumors and conspiracies. But seeing that these same people who made conspiracies were right about her breaking up with Tens, then to many people it only made sense that they were also right about her being a cheater. That's the morbid reality of how the internet works. Look, in conclusion, this entire thing blew out of proportion the moment.
Okay, but like there was actually like some semblance of evidence though to support the breakup theory before it had been made official, right? There was like some of the stuff with like the whole thing with like the rings with both of them, right? But I feel like the arguments that I've seen about oh, she's like clearly cheating and that was the whole thing. I feel like that's like from what I've seen here in this video, those arguments seem tenuous at best. I don't know.
That both Kaide and Tens started.
Oh, thank God, we're almost
on
done.
Instagram. I truly don't understand why they would do that. With their experience being content creators for many years, I really don't get what went through their heads. Maybe they underestimated just how much of a big deal their relationship was to the internet. Maybe they were going through such a heartbreak that they didn't think clearly. But overall, this was a major lapse in judgment. When this happened, and when Tens pretty much confirmed their breakup after streaming without the ring, the parasocials already knew that they had broken up. They had already moved on to how they broke up. This didn't allow Kaide or Tens to have control of the narrative of their own breakup story. So by the time she came out with her post, it was already too late. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Nothing was going to change that. And it seemed like the breakup vibes were contagious, because Kaide's sister, who had also blown up with Jason the Ween due to their public relationship, had also broken up very shortly afterwards. Barely 24 hours after Kaide posted her breakup message. They of course would get way less backlash since her older sister was taking all the hate. But
I'll be honest, this is the couple that I thought all of the breakup drama that was going around was about. Because I feel like I saw Jason the Ween's name when I first started hearing that there was some kind of like, so when I like saw that there was some like big streamer breakup that happened, I feel like I saw Jason's username before Kaide or Tens's or anything. So I was a little surprised when I like got into this video and it was like, this is about Tens and Kaide. I was like, it is?
The timing was definitely interesting, and I'm sure the conspiracy theorists are going to have a very fun time dissecting why this happened. But overall, if there's anything to learn from this, never reveal your relationship.
I'd love to hear how connected these two relationships were.
Because as soon as you do, it's not your relationship anymore. You lose complete control over it. People get into relationships and break up all the time. It's just the nature of being a human being, especially in the 21st century. But as a content creator, you're seen as a perfect person, so you're not allowed to be human. You can't just get into a relationship and break up. You'll be called all sorts of things. You're not allowed to make mistakes. Both Tens and Kaide benefited greatly from this. But once it ended, now they're going through one of the worst times of their lives. This is why many choose to keep their relationships private. And honestly, it could just be me, but I feel like ever since this year started, Twitter has been overly vile lately, like more than usual. Maybe because of some of the algorithm changes, but that's just something I've personally noticed. Let me know if you've come to the same conclusion in the comments.
I don't use Twitter.
Thank you so much for watching until the end. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to use the code Mujin to get 10% off your next purchase on Gamer Subs, and I'll see you in the next video whenever that is. I love you so much, platonically. Mwah.
Platonically. What is this? What is this at the end? Come on. Come on. I don't know. I feel like I do feel like there was some I do feel like there was some relatively unnecessary antagonism towards this sick guy that was included in the video just kind of for fun. But hey, it's Mujin's video. He can do what he wants, right? Speaking of which, that's the video. What did I think of the video? I think, what the fuck did I just spend an hour watching and learning about? That was such a fucking nothing burger of a drama. No? Like, it really was. Like, I was waiting for, like, the shoe to drop, right? I was waiting for the revelation of, like, here's the secret behind why the breakup happened. I was waiting for, like, something. I was waiting to, like, find something out. But we didn't really, right? The whole time it was just like, it was just kind of a series of, like, Tenzin Kaide said this, like, normal thing, trying to like inform their audience and be at least, like, somewhat transparent about the situation. And then randos responded by, like, stirring themselves into a frenzy. Like, just whipping themselves into an absolute just an absolute, like, riot of, again, in a lot of cases, just, like, misogyny. Just, like, hating women. For at least that was what we, again, people who make these videos can choose what they show and don't show. And so maybe I feel like that was what a lot of the comments were, just because that was what Mujin chose to show in this video. But something tells me, I said just a few minutes ago that, like, I don't use Twitter. I might not use Twitter, but the reason I don't use Twitter is because I know about Twitter. And let's just say, from what I know about the kinds of people that still use Twitter in this day and age, I wouldn't be surprised to know that I was shown a very accurate representation of the kinds of comments that were being spread around, and that the majority of people involved in kind of spurring this on and continuing this whole drama were doing so from a very, again, just calling a spade, from a very misogynistic place. And yeah, again, just like I was waiting to find out, like, oh, then we learned this piece of information that confirmed that Kaide had been cheating all along, or something like that, but we never did. Like, I did not come away from this video being convinced that their breakup was caused by Kaide cheating, or not even necessarily cheating, even just, like, wanting to see other people specifically. Like, as far as I can tell, they actually just found reasons to not want to continue their relationship. And, you know, there was the whole like, oh, the, you know, mutual breakup is a fantasy. There's, you know, we saw that line and that line of argumentation being parroted a few times. And like, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna say so what to that. Like, you know, it is what it is. You know, it takes two to tango, as they say. And so, even if you do want to say that like Tens was still perfectly happy in the relationship, and Kaide decided like unilaterally that she wanted to end the relationship, even if that is the case, she has the right to do that. And based on the extent to which Tens went to bat for her, like talking about how things ended amicably, like things can be one-sided and the breakup can still be amicable. That is a true way that the situation could have played out. Even if it wasn't a mutual breakup, even if Kaide did just decide one day, like, I don't want to be in this relationship anymore, like, we're done, it's still possible that they could have ended things on relatively positive terms. Like, that is entirely possible. There's nothing that says that that cannot be the case. And so, yeah, I don't know. I get the whole, like, I understand parasocial relationships, and I understand that, like, the way that dramas can, like, spiral out of control. And I also understand one of the points that Mujin was trying to make himself in this video, which is that, like, once the internet, you know, the internet, like, as an entity, once the internet decides something, you're like never going to convince them otherwise. Like, once people make up their mind about something, their mind is made up, and you can't convince them otherwise. I understand all that, but even still, I don't understand really why this is such a big deal. I don't know. I think maybe this has taught me a lesson. Because I said at the beginning of the video that this is not the kind of drama that I would usually care about. And I think maybe I've learned the lesson that I was right all along, and I shouldn't have cared about this, because this did feel like a waste of fucking time. Not that, like, this video was bad. I think Mujin did I imagine it was not easy for Mujin to, like, go through and put this like ramshackle timeline of, like, all these different, like, Twitter and Reddit theories and whatnot together. But overall, just, like, again, just the topic itself just felt like so fucking pointless to have dove into and learned about. So, I don't know. I don't imagine I'm going to be chomping at the bit the next time there's some sort of content creator relationship drama specifically to be learned of, because yeah, this was so whatever, right? This just felt like so whatever. And I feel like there's probably some other things from throughout the video that I could address further, or like use as a jumping off point to talk about certain things with, like, relationships, or with like in terms of, like, with romantic relationships, or like with parasocial relationships, or certain aspects of, like, putting yourself out there in terms of, like, being so online as a content creator. But I've been recording for long enough. Long enough. I don't want this to become a 2-hour video, so I think we're just gonna go ahead and call it. I will say I will be watching at least one or two other of Mujin's videos in probably the relatively near future. So if you're a fan of Mujin, then I guess look out for me putting up those kinds of reaction videos. And yeah. Thanks for watching, I guess. Hope you enjoyed, even though this was definitely not my favorite thing to have reacted to. And like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until I see you in the next one, I guess, take care. Bye.